Hare Krishna, a very warm welcome to all the devotees to our program of Srimad Bhagavatam study. Uh, Today we will be continuing our discussion on the 18th chapter of the first canto, and we will uh, further this discussion starting from verse number 32, and we will try to cover till verse number 50. The topic of this chapter is Parikshit cursed by a Brahmana boy. Overall, this is our 48th class in the series. Uh, So we will start the program by recitation of the Mangalacharan prayers. May I request somebody to volunteer because Anupama Mataji mentioned not to, will not
I
be able
will
to
do,
do it.
Prabhu. I can
Okay,
do.
okay, Manishji, please do. Yeah.
Yeah. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहिता कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Very nice, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Please continue.
next one.
Ji.
Yeah. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सारस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयम् उदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवते उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः।
Excellent, Prabhuji. Very nice. Thank you very much. Very nicely recited, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay. Now we will move to the next part. This is the recap of the previous class, class number 47. So Rakesh Prabhu would like to recap the class number 47. Prabhuji, please can you start?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Prabhu. You can start. I will just arrange the slides properly. Yes. Yeah, please. Yes, Prabhu.
We were studying SB Canto 1, chapter 18, verses 15 to 31. The topic was Parikshit cursed by a Brahman boy. The theme of the class was how Parikshit becomes angry at Shamik Rishi for improper reception. Towards the end of the previous class, we saw that after hearing the narration from Sud Goswami, how Parikshit helped the Dharni, cow and bull, Dharma. The sages of Naimisharanya were very eager to hear Krishna Katha. They were
Prabhuji, just one minute. Can you open your camera also? Yeah.
Yes. They were glorifying association of devotees and so on. The glorification was going on and it continues in 15th, 16th and 17th verse. Verse number 15. The sages requested Sud Goswami to describe them the pastimes of the Lord, which are above all material conception. This verse speaks about the qualities of speaker of Krishna Katha, the hearer of Krishna Katha and the subject matter. They said to Sud Goswami that you are a learned and pure devotee because personality of Godhead is your chief object of service. So that is the quality of speaker. The subject matter is the pastimes of the Lord, which are above all material conception. And one one is anxious to hear such message, that is the quality of hearer. And verse 16, the sages asked Sud Goswami to describe those topics of the Lord by which Maharaja Parikshit attained the lotus feet of the Lord. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada defines two types of transcendentalists. One type of transcendentalists are the impersonalists, means those who meditate upon the Brahmjyoti or the impersonal effulgence that is coming out from the body of the Lord. And the others are devotees who worship the divine form of the Lord. He further explains that Shukdev Goswami was initially an impersonalist. But Prabhupada further says that not all the impersonalists are Mayavadis, but they may also be the Brahmavadis who are more attracted to the impersonal aspect of the Lord than the personal aspect of the Lord. So Sud Goswami, when he heard the narration of the qualities of Lord Krishna, he became attracted to the personal feature of the Lord, and that is how he became a devotee from an impersonalist. In Bhagavad Gita 12.5, Lord Krishna explains to Arjun that personal worship is much more easier and impersonal worship is full of difficulty. Verse number 17, the sages requested Sud Goswami to narrate Krishna Katha because these are purifying and supreme. These were spoken to Maharaja Parikshit and are very dear to the pure devotees and being full of bhakti yoga. The next section is from verse 18 to 23. Sud expresses humility and glorifies Krishna. Verse 18, Sud Goswami said, although we are born in a mixed caste, we are still promoted in birthright simply by serving and following the great who are advanced in knowledge. Even by conversing with such great souls, one can cleanse oneself of all disqualifications resulting from lower births. In the purport, Prabhupada says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also endorsed this position. He said that even if you are a Brahman or Shudra, Grihastha or Sannyasi, the two extremes of each, but if you are perfectly competent, skillful and qualified in the science of Krishna Bhakti, then you could be accepted as Acharya or Guru. The other example is given about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu elevating Haridas Thakur to the post of Namacharya. Haridasa Thakur was born in a Muslim family, but he was accepted as Namacharya, which is a very elevated post. In verse number 19, and what to speak of those who are under the direction of the great devotees, chanting the holy names of the unlimited, who has unlimited potency. Verse number 20, it is now ascertained that the personality of Godhead is unlimited and there is none equal to him. Great demigods cannot even obtain the favor of the goddess of fortune, but that very goddess of fortune renders service unto the Lord, although he does not want it. Verse number 21, who can be worthy of the name of Supreme Lord, but the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna? Brahmaji collected the water emanating from the nails of his feet to award it to the Lord Shiva. This very water, the Ganges, is purifying the whole universe, including Lord Shiva. In the purport, Sri Prabhupada says that Lord Brahma is generally one of the living entities and Lord Shiva is the medium between the Lord and the living entities. In other words, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, who are the chief amongst all demigods, are never equal to or greater than Lord Vishnu. The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are engaged in the worship of Vishnu or Lord Krishna. Lakshmiji, Brahmaji and Shivji are not independently powerful, but they are powerful as expansions of the Supreme Lord. And all of them are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. There are 4 sects of worshipful devotees of the Lord: Brahm Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya and Shri Sampradaya, descending directly from the Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Lakshmi respectively. There is also Kumar Sampradaya descending from Sanat Kumara. All of the four sampradayas are engaged in the transcendental service of Lord Krishna, and they all declare that Lord Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and no other personality is equal to him or greater than him. Self-controlled persons who are attached to Lord Krishna can all of a sudden give up the world of material attachment and go away to attain the highest perfection of the renounced order of life. And who is self-controlled? In bhakti, we can attain self-control by developing higher taste, by hearing Krishna Katha, association of devotees, chanting, and so on. Verse number 23, Sud Goswami expresses humility and says that I shall try to describe to you the transcendental pastimes of Vishnu as far as my knowledge is concerned. Now he will start to narrate the story. The next section is verses 24 to 31. Parikshit becomes angry at Shamik Rishi. Verse 24-25. Once upon a time, Maharaja Parikshit, while engaged in hunting in the forest, became extremely fatigued, hungry, and thirsty. While searching for a reservoir of water, he entered the hermitage of Shamik Rishi and saw the sage sitting silently with closed eyes. Verse 26, the Muni was situated in a trance, having achieved a transcendental position qualitatively equal with the Supreme Absolute. Verse 27, the king, whose palate was dry from thirst, asked the sage for water. Verse 28, the king, not received by any formal welcome by means of being offered a seat, water, and sweet addresses, considered himself neglected, and so thinking, he became angry. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says that it does not befit the behavior of a great devotee such as Parikshit Maharaj. Prabhupada gives reason to this that actually it is because Lord had some plan to execute through Parikshit Maharaj. He became angry to assist the Lord to execute his bigger plan, and that was to bring Bhagavatam to this world. Verse number 29. Having distressed with extreme hunger and thirst, the king directed his anger and envy towards the sage, which he had never before directed towards a Brahman. Verse 30, while leaving, the king, being so insulted, picked up a lifeless snake with his bow and angrily placed it on the shoulder of the sage. Then he returned to his palace. Verse 31, upon returning, he began to contemplate and argue within himself whether the sage had actually been in meditation or whether he had just been feigning trance just to avoid receiving a lower Kshatriya. Actually, now he is rethinking and repenting what he has done. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Very nicely summarized. So, if you see in this previous class, class number 47, would like to draw everyone's attention specifically to this verse number 18. Although low born, but still promoted due to serving great souls. Here, Sud Goswami is expressing that he was not born as a Brahmana or in a very high caste as far as the Varna system is concerned, but still, because he was serving the devotees, serving the great souls, he got the opportunity to get promoted to become the speaker of a Bhagavatam assembly. Similarly, in the verse 19, he's saying that the position of those people who are chanting great devotees or serving under the great devotees, their position is even better. So the idea here is uh, that even if you are low born but you are well versed and trained in the art and science of Krishna bhakti, then your birth is not considered to be as an obstacle. So that is one very important point from this class. And then the second important point from the previous class is that the behavior that we saw from Parikshit Maharaj, he became quite angry just because of the fact that the sage did not welcome him properly, offered him the royal seat, etc., etc. He did some offensive behavior towards Shamik Rishi, who was meditating at that time. Uh, so we kind of deliberated on this point in the previous class, and uh, we found that Parikshit Maharaj, who was a very pure devotee, whose character that we have studied in previous chapters was so pure and so nice, that it was really uh, unbefitting of him to do such an offensive act of putting that snake around Shamik Rishi. That was quite unnatural for a devotee like Parikshit Maharaj. Now we contemplated on the reason. It was simply because Lord's arrangement, and because Lord wanted to bring Srimad Bhagavatam in this world, he actually performed that act. So if you could remember those two important points, that would be really great from the previous class. As
Prabhuji,
far as,
there may be one more reason.
yes, Prabhu, please.
Lord wanted Parikshit to bring back Parikshit Maharaj back to God, back to his place,
Yeah. I mean,
back to his original place.
yeah. So a pure devotee anyway will be going back to Godhead because of his whatever life of pure devotional service he has lived. For that, he did not have to orchestrate that particular event. So anyway, he could have gone back to Godhead. So that is something. Uh, it is only because he wanted to introduce Srimad Bhagavatam to this world. He bewildered. He arranged all that just so that the sequence of event was like that. Bhagavatam could be introduced to the world. So शुद्ध भक्त को तो वैसे भी भगवत धाम ही जाना है, और कहाँ जाएगा वो?
उसमें श्री विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती की टीका में शायद लिखा हुआ है, उसमें मैंने देखा था परपोज.
ओके ओके. विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर. ओके, ठीक है, मैं भी एक बार पढ़ूंगा उसको. मे बी वी कैन देन फर्दर डिस्कस दिस. या ओके. So thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for bringing all those points. 32 to 50. Now this is the last section from this chapter we are going to discuss today. Inexperienced Shringi curses and Shamika Rishi regrets. So the storyline from the previous class will continue, and we will let us see what interesting things are to unfold in this class. So before that, can we have some names who can read the text?
I can, Prabhu.
Okay, Manish ji.
I can also do.
I can also do.
Manish ji, Vrindavaneshwari Mata ji, and Rakesh ji. Okay. Uh, just let me write. Okay, Manish ji. Uh, let me just give you a little background. Although I gave this background in the previous classes also, but I think good to recap. So what exactly are we doing in the 18th chapter? In the 18th chapter, we are now uh, trying to understand those events which led to Parikshit Maharaj renouncing his kingdom. So in 16th and 17th chapter, what did we do? Parikshit Maharaj activity as a king we discussed, but in 18th chapter, the discussion goes further, where the sages of Naimisharanya wanted to understand how Parikshit Maharaj renounced his kingdom, how he met Shukdev Goswami, how it led to the event that Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken, etc., etc. So those events are being unfolded here, and we started the discussion in the previous class where we found that how Parikshit Maharaj offended Shamik Rishi, and when Shamik Rishi was offended, then what happened? So from there we will pick up the katha. So please read, Manish ji, from verse number 32.
Yeah. The sage had a son who was very powerful, being a Brahmana's son. While he was playing with inexperienced boys, he heard of his father's distress, which was occasioned by the king. Then and there the boy spoke as follows.
Hmm. So in the 32nd verse, this character called Shringi is introduced. I think it was not introduced in the previous class. Yeah, it was not introduced in the previous class. Now in the 32nd verse, this character Shringi is introduced. And who is Shringi? Shringi is the son of Shamika Rishi. He is a small boy, somebody like 5 year old, and he's playing near the bank of a river with his friends. So the friends are also like him, maybe children, and But there is one thing unusual about this very this Brahmana's son, Shamigrishi's son, Shringi, and that unusual thing is that he was very powerful. Why he was very powerful? He was actually a very powerful Brahmana. A powerful Brahmana would mean that he can bless people and his blessing will work on people, or he could even curse people, his curse would work on people. So, because of his Brahma Tejas, so these Brahmanas, because of the power of their austerity, their tapasya, etc., etc., they they acquire these kind of powers. So, this 5-year old boy was a very powerful Brahmana, and he was playing with inexperienced boys. And at that moment of time, somebody told him, "Hey Shringi, uh, Parikshit Maharaj entered into the ashram of your father, Shamik Rishi, who was meditating, and he offended your father by putting a dead snake around his shoulder, around his neck." And when he heard about this news, Shringi reacted in a very very immature way, and that will be unfolded in the coming verses. But let us see first of all what Srila Prabhupada had to say in his purport about this event. So, on this particular point, that Shringi was a very powerful Brahmana boy, Prabhupada actually gives credit to Parikshit Maharaj. And what does he say? He says that Parikshit Maharaj kingdom was so nice that even a small boy could become a very powerful Brahmana. There was all facilities available. uh, so his father, who was also himself was a very powerful Brahmana, could impart his training, could impart his teachings to his boy Shringi, and he also became very powerful Brahmana. But this boy Shringi was inexperienced. Although he had power, but he was very inexperienced. He did not have culture. He did not had the wisdom of how to use that power. Why? Because he was just a small boy, only a 5-year-old boy. So Kali, who was looking for an opportunity to enter and destroy the Vedic system, uh, used this inexperienced Brahmana boy who was full of power but was lacking culture, lacking wisdom, lacking moral education, and so on. So Kali took this advantage, and using this uh, loophole through this boy Shringi, he did something to enter into the Vedic system to destroy this Vedic culture. So the first casualty of this attack by Kali was Parikshit Maharaj. And how did he arrange that? He arranged it through this Shringi. And let us see what Shringi did after he heard about his father's distressful situation. Please read the 33rd verse.
The Brahmana's son Shringi said, "Oh, just look at the sins of the rulers who, like crows and watchdogs at the door, perpetrate sins against their masters, contrary to the principles governing servants."
Hmm. Now you can experience the kind of language Shringi is using. Shringi is becoming very angry. And what does he say for Parikshit Maharaj? For Parikshit Maharaj, he's using words like crows. Crows means in Hindi we call them kawwa, and watchdogs. So we typically observe these two animals like this crow and a dog. What do we how do we observe them? Crows are sometimes sitting on a terrace, observing something on the ground. Similarly, dogs. Where do we tie dogs? In our houses, where, at the door, isn't it? And for what purpose? So that if somebody stranger is coming, the dog can bark and the stranger is avoided, or there's some obstacle, there is some check, there's some security at the door. So why is comparing Parikshit Maharaj with crow and with watchdogs? So what he's thinking is that in a kingdom there are boundaries of the kingdom, there is a border of the kingdom. So, in order to protect the border of the kingdom, we have soldiers. So, the soldiers protect the border of the kingdom, and they are something like watchdogs. So, Parikshit, being a Kshatriya, was a soldier. Although he was also a king, but actually he's a Kshatriya, and ultimately he's also a soldier. And one of his main duty is to protect the borders of the kingdom. But this is not a very good language or a cultured language to use for a king, and that too not an ordinary king. He was not only a king, but actually he was an emperor. Not only an emperor, but he was a Raj Rishi, a saintly king, a saintly emperor. Not only a saintly emperor, actually Parikshit Maharaj was a devotee of the Lord. So for such a Mahabhagvat, for such a Raj Rishi, this Shringi, this little Brahmana boy, is using for him these words like crows, watchdogs, and so on. So uh, this is telling something about the character of this boy. The character, although he had developed powers of a Brahmana, but he still have not developed the character of a Brahmana. And what is the character of a Brahmana? Brahmana character is that a Brahmana is actually very forgiving. He is very pious in his culture, in his behavior, and so on. But Shringi, we find he's not displaying any of those qualities. And then uh, this is where this is where Kali thought is an opportunity that through this Brahmana boy, I can enter this Vedic system and destroy this Vedic culture. This is the behavior that Shringi is exhibiting here is of pride. He's becoming very proud of himself, and when a person becomes proud, he considers other people to be very insignificant in front of them. He loses any appreciation for them. He loses uh, uh, he cannot appreciate any good qualities in the other person. So that is the problem with this feeling of pride, huh? So like this, he's using uh, very offensive words towards a very noble person, a very Mahabhagavad person like Parikshit Maharaj. And Prabhupada explains in the purport that this is the moment this is the moment where when Brahmanical class actually became very self-righteous. And this is the downfall of the Vedic culture, which started with Shringi cursing Parikshit Maharaj. And when the downfall of this Brahmanical culture started, then all other Varnas also started to become affected by this. Now let us try to understand a little bit that if a Brahmanical class becomes affected or becomes something degraded or proud, then how come the Vedic culture can degrade? Can anybody from the assembled devotees can explain that connection? That why Brahmanical class degradation can lead to fall down of a Vedic culture? Is there any feedback from the devotees here? Any attempts?
Because Brahmanas are the protector of Vedas. The
Hmm.
Vedic knowledge is with the Brahmanas,
Hmm.
and that is how it is dissipated to the society's other classes and
Hmm.
Varnashram Dharma.
Hmm. Very nice. So uh, the Vedic knowledge comes from whom? Who is the
Brahma,
original source? Who is the original
Brahma,
source of the Vedic
Brahma.
knowledge?
Brahmaji,
From Brahmaji. Where does it come from?
from the Lord in himself.
From the Lord Himself, right? So the Lord Himself is the originator of the Vedic knowledge. In the world that we live in the Varnashram system, in the Varna system, Brahmanas are supposed to develop that knowledge and teach that knowledge, propagate that knowledge. And how does the Brahmanical class propagate that knowledge?
Through disciplic succession,
Yeah. But in the society, how does it spread? How does it propagate?
through, well, teachings and like, well,
Through the Kshatriya class. Through the
yeah,
Kshatriya class.
Prabhuji, can I add on that?
Yes, Prabhu. Yeah.
See, so generally, all the Kshatriya kings have good
Hmm.
Brahmana advisors,
Hmm.
and that is how they are supposed to run the kingdom. For
Correct.
example, Dashratha or Rama had
Hmm.
Vashishta and other rishis, 8
Hmm.
rishis advising them.
Hmm.
So the Brahmanas are supposed to be not greedy, not power hungry, but they advise
Renounce.
the Kshatriya kings on what is the correct mode of conduct, what is to be done. So
Correct.
they are supposed to be very balanced and not desirous of anything.
Materialistic. They are not of materialistic propensity. They
And
are of
particularly, they are not supposed to have, so to say, Rajoguna or
right.
get angry. That
Right.
is.
Correct. So they are situated mostly in Sattva Guna. Their main job is to learn the Vedas, to teach the Vedas, and how they propagate this knowledge in the society is it through the Kshatriya kings. So Kshatriya kings are the administrator of the society. They are the people who deal with people, who deal with their masses of people, and they make policies, they implement policies on the advice of the Brahmanas. And Brahmanas are learning it from where? From the Vedas. And from where the Vedas are coming from? Vedas are coming from the Supreme Lord himself. So this is how the knowledge of the Supreme Lord, which comes in the Vedas, are understood by the Brahmanas. They understand it, they develop that wisdom of that knowledge, and according to that wisdom, they start advising the king, who actually propagate that knowledge, disseminate this knowledge in the society. So Brahmanas are considered to be the head of the society, and Kshatriyas are considered to be the arms of the society. So arms need to protect the head. What it means is the Kshatriyas need to protect the Brahmanas, but the arms need to work according to the head. The arms need to work according to the head means the Kshatriyas need to be guided by the Brahmanas. But here, if you see what Shringi is saying, Shringi is using very offensive words towards Parikshit Maharaj, calling him watchdogs and crows. Actually, it is only because of the Kshatriyas the Vedic knowledge get disseminated in the society. Only Brahmanas cannot disseminate knowledge in the society because the Brahmanas are not people oriented people. They don't know how to administer. They are actually very renounced. They like to read, they like to study, they like to teach, but when it comes to organizing things, when it comes to managing people, when it comes to uh, uh, organize a mass propagation implementation of any knowledge, then they are not so well gifted by the Supreme Lord. They have the quality of renunciation, but Kshatriyas have the quality of administration, management, and all those skills. So this is what Shringi is doing. He's considering that Kshatriyas are actually so low class, they're simply like watchdogs. And that is how Prabhupada is mentioning that at this moment of time, Kali took the advantage and entered into the Vedic system and destroyed the Vedic culture. So the first casualty of destruction of this Vedic culture was Parikshit Maharaj, and who initiated it? uh, the Shringi initiated it by the influence of Kali. So that is the purport here. Okay, let us now go to the 34th verse.
Yeah. The descendants of the kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. On what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim the dine with the master on the same plate?
Hmm. So the offensive language continues in the 34th verse also. So he's saying that the descendants of kingly orders are definitely designated as watchdogs, and they must keep themselves at the door. On what grounds can the dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? So, can you make a guess what he's trying to refer here from the event that have unfolded in the past? What he's trying to refer here? What does it mean? What does Shringi mean when he's saying that on what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate? What he's trying to
I
say?
think
What is
I
hinting
think
at? Hmm.
he's hinting that being a Brahmana, like how can king,
Hmm.
who is placed lower to a Brahmana,
Hmm.
kind of dare to do such a thing while like he entered the house of Shamika and
Hmm.
thereafter whatever happened in his house,
Hmm.
so the king must, uh, I mean to say
Yeah.
he was very proud
Yeah.
basically.
So I think you picked up the point, Mataji. Uh, See, what happened in the past was Parikshit Maharaj entered the ashram of Shamik Rishi. For what? Just because he was thirsty, he was hungry, he was looking for some water, maybe some food. Uh, so on that ground, this Shringi is hinting on what grounds can dogs enter the house and claim to dine with the master on the same plate. So he's considering Shamik Rishi as the master of the house of the ashram, and Parikshit Maharaj as a watchdog who is supposed to be sitting only on the outside the house and not expecting to enter the house and ask for something like water or food from his father. Uh, so he's actually using a very insulting and a very abusive language. So rather than taking responsibility, rather than assuming that when King Parikshit entered my ashram, my father's ashram, we could not arrange for a proper welcome, we could not arrange for a proper reception of Parikshit Maharaj, and we could not offer him some seat, we could not offer him some water. Rather than accepting responsibility, rather than feeling sorry about it, he is actually pointing fingers back at Parikshit Maharaj. He's saying that he is simply a watchdog, a soldier, a Kshatriya. These Kshatriyas are simply watchdogs and they should keep themselves at the door. How dare he actually entered my father's ashram and not only enter my father's ashram and be so offensive that he would ask even for drinking water or maybe some food, because if you have a pet dog, you would not like the pet dog to enter and sit with you on the dining table and eat with you on the same plate, isn't it? So that is the kind of uh, behavior he's exhibiting towards Parikshit Maharaj, towards a great devotee like Parikshit Maharaj. So that is something what he's saying. So he's calling himself as the lord of the house, and Parikshit as the watchdog at the door. So the same offensive behavior is continuing in the 34th verse also. Okay, now we'll go to the next one. Yes, Prabhu.
After the departure of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead and supreme ruler of everyone, these upstarts have flourished, our protector being gone. Therefore, I myself shall take up this matter and punish them. Just witness my power.
Hmm. Now, what he's saying in this verse, see, Lord Krishna has departed. Hmm. And because Lord Krishna has departed, these kind of upstarts, so again, offensive behavior, have started to flourish. So he's using this word upstart for Parikshit Maharaj. And because our protector is gone, he's thinking that he can take us lightly and he's doing all kind of nonsense behavior. Therefore, I myself shall take up this matter and punish him. So, what is Shringi trying to do? Shringi is trying to take the role of Lord Krishna. Shringi, out of his pride, he's thinking that I am actually Brahmana, I am actually representative of Lord Krishna, and because my Lord is gone now, I need to teach the lesson to these kind of people who are really like upstarts, who doesn't know how to behave properly, and I will take this matter in my hand and I will actually punish this person. So in Kali Yuga also you will find these kind of people are there who think themselves that they are really spiritually very advanced, and uh, and on top of it, if they manage to generate some kind of spiritual following from people, they start to manipulate these kind of people and they kind of create all kind of havoc in the society. And how does it happen? Why does it happen? It happens mainly because of pride. Yeah, if they don't have wisdom, if they don't develop culture, if they don't develop proper humility, because by developing this Vedic knowledge, if you don't develop proper humility, if you don't develop proper culture, you don't develop proper behavior. When I say develop proper culture, I mean proper behavior, sufficient humility. Then you will tend to misuse that power. You will tend to actually misutilize that power and create all kind of nonsense, all kind of uh, uh, say all kind of damages to the society. So this is something which is happening here also, and uh, we need to be watchful of these kind of people in Kali Yuga specifically. Okay, Prabhu, please go to the next one, 36 and 37.
Yeah. The son of the Rishi, his eyes red, hot with anger, touched the water of the river Kaushika while speaking to his playmates and discharged the following thunderbolt of words. On the seventh day from today, a snake bird will bite the most wretched one of that dynasty because of his having broken the laws of etiquette by insulting my father.
Hmm. You see here. So, uh, a power has been given to a person which does not have culture. So, this also reminds me of another pastime in Mahabharata. Do you remember this pastime of Eklavya and Dronacharya? So, Eklavya, there was some contest going on, and Eklavya actually was managed to win that contest. And when he was managed to win that contest, he came to Dronacharya, uh, and Dronacharya asked this Eklavya that, can you give me my Guru Dakshina? And then Eklavya uh, asked Dronacharya, Gurudev, please let me know what do you want me as Guru Dakshina. Then Dronacharya asked Eklavya to give his thumb, cut his thumb and give it to him as Guru Dakshina. So most of the time, many times we find that this pastime is misunderstood. But now I think it is very right moment that we can actually elaborately discuss this pastime. So can you make a guess why Dronacharya asked for the thumb of Eklavya? Although he was very skillful in archery, he won that contest. Very he was very skillful in archery, something like at par with Arjuna and so on. But can you make a guess why would Dronacharya would ask the thumb of Eklavya?
Because he didn't want anybody to surpass his student Arjuna.
Hmm. Yeah,
So he,
that is the popular reason that we hear, but there is a little more, uh, uh, I would say, confidential reason behind this. It was not only because of that reason, but he observed something in Eklavya, and that is why he wanted his thumb.
I
His
think
his
Eklavya.
Hmm. Yes, Prabhu.
No, I think Eklavya was born in a lower caste and he does not wanted this. He wanted to grow up or something in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah, it is something like that. Lower caste, you can say that he did not have the enough wisdom and enough culture, enough humility. So that is what Dronacharya observed in him. And how do you confirm this? How do you confirm this? We can confirm this because when the battle of Mahabharat happened, Eklavya fought from the side of Duryodhan. He did not fought from the side of Pandavas. So uh, Dronacharya observed that this person was of a low nature, low character, and that is why he did not want that he becomes so powerful that he may misutilize his power. So similarly is what is going on here with Shringi. He is a powerful Brahmana boy, but he is very inexperienced. And what can you expect from a 5-year-old boy? Hmm? He will not develop that wisdom, that kind of culture at such a low age. So this is what happened, that when Shringi wanted to curse, he touched the water of the Kaushika river, and uh, he discharged these words. On the seventh day, a snake bird will bite the most wretched one. Most wretched one means in Hindi we call it neech, sarvadhik neech, most wretched one, sarvadhik neech. Huh? One of that dynasty because of having broken the laws of etiquette, insulting my father. So this is how he insulted, uh, and why he wanted to do it, simply to I would say, uh, display his power in front of his friends, because he was in front of his friends and he was out of pride, he was puffed up, and display his power that I can actually curse this king also, who is the most wretched one. Like that, he was misusing his power, and that is where Kali polluted the Brahmana class. And when the Brahmana class got polluted, other Varnas also got polluted. So this was the beginning of Kali Yuga, where Brahmanical class became very, very proud. And when the Brahmanical class became very proud, they started to look down upon the other Varnas as very degraded. And Because of that, the other varnas who were very respectful, very honorable towards the Brahmanical class, lost their honor, lost their respect towards the Brahmanical class, and they thought that this Brahmanical class is of no use. Then these lower varnas also stopped following the Brahmanical class. They thought that they will follow their own course, and that is how the whole varnashram system got collapsed. The caste system took place. Now you would heard about this caste system, specifically in India, that the people of higher caste will start to exploit the other caste and so on. uh, and this is the reason, this is the place, this is the point in the history where the caste system started to evolve, or the degraded caste system started to evolve. But Prabhupada writes in his purport that we should understand the proper reason why this caste system was introduced, and what was the objective of this caste system. So varnashram system is the system which is actually coming from the Lord, and the objective of this system is mainly to uplift the consciousness of the people, uh, by elevating them, by making them purified and so on, and ultimately become devotees of the Lord. So that is the main objective of the Varna and Ashram system. So can you explain to me what is the difference between Varna system and what is the and the Ashrama system? What is the objective of the Varna system and what is the objective of the Ashrama system? They too have different objectives. So what? How does Varna and Ashram system elevate the consciousness of people? Can you explain that to me? Can anyone explain that to me?
Well, Varna system is the kind of occupational duties,
Mhm.
like according to one's nature, what kind of occupation you would have,
Mhm.
so as to place your consciousness always in the Lord.
No, no, no.
And no,
Consciousness in the Lord. No, no. Occupation means what? Occupation,
occupation is livelihood, like
livelihood,
while,
livelihood. Occupation is livelihood, correct. So
yeah,
consciousness, so it is about livelihood. But
yes.
but how do you earn that livelihood?
Through on the basis of moral grounds, like you should be rightly placed
No,
when
no,
you are
no, no.
satisfied and you're
So
not overly engaged.
okay. Any other answer? Maybe Mataji has tried good. She has given quite some good answers. But I think there's still some more to be added there. So what is the objective of Varna system?
The Varnas occupational services, you serve Krishna by the occupation that you like, where you have mentality. All work should be done as a service to Krishna. So somebody who likes to work with his hands serves, works with his hands and does. Somebody who is intellectual, likes to study, like to understand scriptures, etc., then
Hmm.
he takes that varna. Similarly, somebody who has a lot of let's say, lot of brothers who likes to fight, who is courageous, bold,
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
takes Kshatriya. So it is an occupation according to their nature by which
Hmm.
they can serve Krishna and the overall society progresses.
Yeah, yeah. So I will make a little modification there. I think most of the point that you have mentioned, Vasudevan Prabhu, is okay. But serving Krishna at the moment is not really the focus of Varna system. Varna system main focus is the at the society level. Everyone is engaged according to their nature, and while everyone is engaged according to their nature, they earn their livelihood. So if people are engaged according to their nature, they will feel satisfied materially, at the level of body, at the level of mind. At both these levels they will feel satisfied. At the material level they will feel satisfied. So that is the main objective of the Varna system. I am not yet introduced anything about Krishna, satisfying Krishna, serving Krishna. No. At that, in the Varnashram system, people may not even know that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. That is also possible. That is also possible. So the main objective of Varna system is mainly to engage people in some useful work beneficial for the society according to their nature. So their psychophysical nature is satisfied. Their psychophysical nature is satisfied. Psycho means mind, physical means body. Is that clear? Hmm. Now, the ashram system is mainly for spiritual advancement. So, Varna system is mainly for psychophysical nature. And in the ashram system, what do they develop? Now, coming to the ashram system, what is the meaning of the word ashram? What is the meaning of the word ashram?
The place where one finds shelter.
One finds shelter, right? So, the objective of brahmachari ashram, the objective of grahastha ashram, the objective of vanaprastha ashram, the objective of sannyas ashram. So, beginning from brahmachari ashram, the training is given to people that this material world is not the place where we ultimately want to be always. We need to develop detachment from this material world. We need to develop attachment to the absolute truth. Now, the conception of absolute truth for different people will be different. Uh, so, we need to develop some attachment to the higher reality, etc. So, that ashram system is mainly for developing detachment to make some spiritual advancement. So, at one point in Varna system, what are we trying to do? We are trying to satisfy our bodily needs. We need money, we need food to eat, and for that, we need to work. We need to do some occupation. Brahmana will do Brahmanical occupation, Kshatriya will do Kshatriya occupation, Grahastha or Vaishya will do Vaishya occupation. So, those occupations they will do. They will earn money, they will earn their livelihood from that. From livelihood, they will satisfy their bodily needs. And because they are engaged in something which is according to their nature, they will mentally satisfy themselves. So that is for the Varna system. But in the ashram system, they learn detachment, they learn spirituality. That happens starts from brahmachari ashram. And then from brahmachari ashram, they like to learn detachment. And by the end of brahmachari ashram, if they are sufficiently detached, then they can straight away go to which ashram? Straight away go to which ashram? If from brahmachari ashram they develop
Grihastha.
they no no if they have developed sufficient detachment,
Sannyasa.
sannyas
Sannyas ashram.
sannyas ashram. But if they still have some attachment towards material enjoyment, then where do they go?
Grihastha.
Grihastha
Then,
ashram.
yeah, then they take it to grahastha ashram, but in the spirit of detachment, in the
Yes.
spirit of detachment, right? They
Yes.
still understand that in grahastha ashram also they understand that they have come together with a lady, or the lady understand they have come together with a person, with a male. uh, they need to together develop their family as an ashram where the center is the supreme lord.
Yes.
Like that, ashram system is mainly to develop detachment, and varna system is mainly to develop uh, livelihood and to satisfy their psychophysical need. So both of them have to work together. So if you remember in Ishopanishad classes, we have heard both material knowledge and both spiritual knowledge is needed to live in this world, isn't it? Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you
Yes.
remember?
Yes.
So material knowledge is like a boat, and spiritual knowledge is like a compass. So
Okay.
we need food, we need money, we need house, we need something to survive in this world. For that there is material education, but ultimately we need to develop detachment. For that we need spiritual knowledge. So Varn ashram system actually addresses both these needs. Hmm. So when this Brahmanical boy Shringi started to look down upon the other Varnas, like the Kshatriya class, like the Vaishya class, and so on, this whole Varna system became collapsed. And those who were more gifted started to exploit the ones who were less gifted. And that is where the caste system evolved, where you would have heard about stories where brahmanas are actually uh, considering the other people who are spiritually advanced because they were not born in a proper brahmanical category, or so they were degraded and so on. So that is how the whole varna ashram system collapsed. Is that clear? Varna and ashram, is that concept clear?
Yes, definitely.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, very good. Because this need to be very clear. Otherwise, there is a lot of confusion about Varna and Ashram. Every time there is a difference. What is Varna and what is Ashram? Okay. Now we go to the 38th verse. Prabhu, just read 38. After that, we will request Vrindavaneshwari Mataji to
Okay.
read. Yeah.
Thereafter, when the boy returned to the hermitage, he saw a snake on his father's shoulder, and out of his grief, he cried very loudly.
Okay, now there is a storyline, not much to describe here. So after cursing Parikshit Maharaj, he comes back home to his father's ashram, and he sees a snake around his father's shoulder, and out of grief he cries very loudly. Then what happens after he cries? Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, please read 39th.
Yes, Prabhuji. O Brahmanas, the Rishi, who was born in the family of Angira Muni, hearing his son crying, gradually opened his eyes and saw the dead snake around his neck.
Hmm. So when Shringi cried, what happened as a result of it? Shamika Rishi opened his eyes. His trance got broken. And when Shamika Rishi got his trance got broken, he observed what is going on, from where this loud noise of crying is coming, and what is this? A snake around myself? From where this snake has come? Hmm? And then please read the 40th one.
He threw the dead snake aside and asked his son why, why he was crying, whether anyone had done him harm. Shringi explained what had happened.
Hmm. So Shamika Rishi, when he saw that dead snake, he simply took that dead snake and threw it around, threw it somewhere. So from his behavior, immediate behavior, it is very clear that Shamika Rishi did not took any offense. What had happened, from where this snake? He did not say that who this person is who had put this snake around my neck, around my shoulder. He has really insulted me, and I curse him like Shringi did. He did not uttered anything. He simply thought that this is some dead snake and simply put it aside. And then, because his son Shringi was crying, he asked out of his concern, My dear son, what happened? Why are you crying?" Then Shringi explained to him. So the whole point is that Shamika Rishi did not took any offense of what had happened, but Shringi, on the contrary, had taken lot of insult from the event that had happened. So this is a contrast between a person who is culturally trained and a person who is actually not culturally trained. So this is what. Yeah. Okay. Please read 41st.
Yes, sinful act. The father heard from his son that the king had been cursed, although he should never have been condemned, for
Hmm.
he was the best among all the human beings. The rishi did not congratulate his son, but on the contrary began to repent, saying, Alas, what a great sinful act was performed by my son. He has awarded heavy punishment for an insignificant offense.
Hmm. So now you can see, now there is a change of theme here. So in the previous 32 to 40th verse, inexperienced Shrangi curses, that was the theme. Now the theme has changed. Theme is now Shamika Rishi regrets the curse. So Shamika Rishi is not appreciating his son. My dear son, you did a great job. This wretched one, this king, actually insulted me very heavily, and you did a great job by cursing. No, he's not saying that. On the contrary, he's actually condemning the act that his son had performed. And what he's using, the word that he is using, the father heard from his son that the king had been cursed, although he should never have been condemned, for he was the best among all human beings. He was the best among all human beings. And if I read the Sanskrit here, in this, from Srimad Bhagavatam, the 41st verse, in the Sanskrit, what is being used here is Narendram. Nishamya Shaptamat Shaptam Matadharam Narendram. So Narendram, for the king, the word uses Narendram, Nar Indram, best among the human beings. If you remember in Bhagavad Gita also, Lord Krishna, while he's explaining about his opulences to Arjuna, he's saying that among humans, I am the king. So uh, here also in this Bhagavatam verse, uh, for king, the adjective is used is best among all human beings. So the rishi did not congratulate his son, but on the contrary, began to repent what a great sinful act was performed by my son. He has awarded heavy punishment for an insignificant offense. For an insignificant offense is something which was very situational. The king was very thirsty, very tired, very hungry. He entered my ashram, or he entered the ashram, and out of some maybe momentary maybe loss of composure, he might have thought that I have not been welcomed properly, and he placed some dead snake around my shoulder. And for that very insignificant offense, although I agree that it may be this is an offense, but a very insignificant nature, and for that very insignificant offense, you have awarded a very very heavy punishment to this king. So this is something which you should not have done. Hmm. And this king was not an ordinary king. He was a Raj Rishi. He was a very saintly king. And for such a king, this was a very insignificant uh, offense, and you awarded a very heavy, very heavy, extreme punishment. So this is really unjustified. So like that, he did not support the act of uh, Shringi. Okay, go to 42nd one, Mataji.
Yes, immaturity. Oh, my boy, your intelligence is immature, and therefore you have no knowledge that the king, who's the best amongst the human beings, is as good as the personality of Godhead.
Hmm.
He is never to be placed on an equal footing with common men. The
Hmm.
citizens of the state live in prosperity, being protected by his unsurpassable prowess.
Hmm. So now it is important to understand the kind of comments that Shamik Rishi is making toward his son. He's calling him what? He's calling him immature. So what does immature means? One who has not developed proper maturity. Proper maturity. Aparipakwa. Paripakwa means who is matured. Paripakwa means who is matured. Matured person uh, would see the would be able to weigh the different situations in a different light. So a immature person, he simply sees black and white, but a mature person can even see shade of gray between black and white, isn't it? He can understand the gravity of the situation. He can understand to what degree this offense is. He can actually weigh the consequence of the kind of punishment he is going to reward. He uh, a mature person also does something else. He consults others. If he is in doubt, he's not sure, he's going to impart something very very heavy, he probably would like to consult others. Like you would remember, or you would observe, sometimes when there is a very important decision to be passed in a country level, at a very large scale level, then even the supreme courts of the country will have five bench uh, five judge bench, so that uh, uh, not only one person opinion matters, but actually we may have a little more opinion of the mature people and so on. And that's how the mature people actually work in the society. But here we see a person who simply hears something, and out of his anger, out of his pride, passes on some curse, and that to a king who is simply a Mahabhagavat, a Raj Rishi, and so on. So it is explaining that how immature this act of Shringi was. And then another point that we can see is that king is not an ordinary citizen. A king is a special citizen. If a king is not available in the country, then there are certain rules that to be followed. If the king dies out of some accident and so on, then there is an emergency in the kingdom, in the country. So a king is not an ordinary citizen. So what Shringi had done is he has considered the king, and that too not an ordinary king, on an equal footing with an ordinary people. So this is something, a very immature behavior, which Shamika Rishi is condemning his son. 43rd Mataji.
Result of abolishing the monarch.
Hmm.
King represents the Lord. My dear boy, the Lord who carries the wheel of chariot is represented by a monarchical regime, and when this regime is abolished, the whole world becomes filled with thieves, who then at once vanquish the unprotected subjects like scattered lambs.
Yeah. So if a very powerful king, not to speak of powerful king, even if there's a ordinary king that is somehow uh, dying or somehow killed, maybe in a kingdom, then there is all chaos in the society. And if there's a chaos, there is mismanagement, there is no governance, etc., etc., then uh, then something special have to be done. Even in today's society, we can see that sometimes when there is a in a particular state, when there is a very chaotic governance, then the president of the country can impose president rule. He or she has the power to rule that kingdom, because there is now very lot of chaos. So something like that, something like an emergency situation is being created in this case here. And King Parikshit was not an ordinary person. He was like an ideal king. He was trained. He was trained in bhakti culture. He was a Raj Rishi. He was a very pious king. He was a dharmic king. He was ruling according to the codes of the Shastras and so on. For such a king, if you curse him and the king is not available to rule, then you are creating a very difficult situation for the kingdom. So Prabhupada ji in his purport is explaining who is an ideal king. He's saying that an ideal king is somebody who should be very, very skillful in military arts. On top of that, he should be trained in culture, and on top of that, he should be a devotee of the Lord. So, if that a person is like that, then that is an ideal king. And Parikshit Maharaj was some king like that. But on the contrary, in the society today, what arrangement do we see? We see this arrangement of democracy. In the democracy, many times what can happen is that people who are not trained in culture, who are not devotees of the Lord, who are simply power hungry people, they simply manipulate people. They don't have any training, they don't have any accountability towards the society, they are only guided by their selfish interest. Simply by manipulation of the votes, they grab power. And you would see in the society today, many places you can see that very easily. And when they grab power, because they are power hungry, because they are selfish, they they make all kind of difficulties in the society. They, because of their power hungry nature, because of their selfish nature, they create all kind of difficulties in the society. So that is something what uh, Shamika Rishi is telling to Shringi, that now because you have abolished this monarch, there will be actually very difficult situation. King is the representative of the Lord. King is actually the representative of the Lord, and he need to be respected like that. Okay. 44th.
Yes. Great social disruption. Due to the termination of monarchical regime and the plundering of people's wealth by rows and thieves, there will be great social destructions.
Hmm.
People will be killed and injured, and animals and women will be stolen. And for all these sins, we shall be responsible.
Yeah, now you can see I have color coded V as red. So V is significant, important here, and Prabhupada also identifies this particular point in his purport. He's saying V. V means what here? Here Shamika Rishi is representing as a Brahmana. So he's
Brahmin,
saying that, yeah, so he's representing a Brahmanical class. So he's saying that because of your act, there will be a great social disruption in the society. Uh, So what happens is, if there is no proper king who is trained in culture, bhakti, military arts, etc., this will give opportunity to people like who are prajatantris, like democrats. And these democrats grab these power. They have no accountability towards the welfare of the people. They are simply selfish, power hungry. And because they are selfish, power hungry, their subordinates are also like that. They are also selfish and power hungry, and everybody in the administration is simply exploiting the people. And that is where it is mentioned, uh, people will be killed, injured, animals and women will be stolen, and for all those sins we shall be responsible. So Shamik Rishi is representing a Brahmanical class here, and he's taking accountability of the act his son is doing. So on one side we see Shringi, who's simply uncultured, immature, inexperienced, who is simply down looking the other varnas. And here, ideal Brahmana like Shamik Rishi, who's taking accountability of the act that his son has performed. And he's showing him what all can possibly happen as a consequence of your act, your immature decision that you have just now taken. Okay, 45th.
Destruction of Varnashrama.
Hmm,
At that time, the people in general will fall systematically from the path of progressive civilization
hmm,
in respect to the qualitative engagement of the caste and the orders of society and the Vedic injunctions. Thus, they will be more attracted to economic development for sense gratification. And as a result, there will be an unwanted population on the level of dogs and monkeys.
hmm. Yeah, now we have discussed this point that if the king, an ideal king who is guided by Brahmanas and so on, if you remove this ideal king from the picture, then what happens is then the Varnashram system is destroyed. So this is what is being mentioned here, from the path of progressive civilization in respect of qualitative engagement of the castes and the orders of society and the Vedic injections. So when the Varnashram system is destroyed, then what happens? Again, Prabhupada compares in his purport from the democratic system of society. So, have you heard in any time in your life, because we are living at the moment in a democracy. So, in a democracy, is there any concern about spiritual progress of people? Have you heard anything like a government
No,
making rules for spiritual advancement of people, or they are bothered about spiritual progress of people?
no,
No. So typically, what do we hear in democracy? Typically, we hear about economic development. Uh, our country becoming economic powerhouse, our company becoming third largest economy, second largest economy. So like that, people are comparing and measuring progress. So this is what Shamik Rishi is hinting here. He's forecasting here. Thus, they will be more attracted to economic development for sense gratification. Ultimately, they want what people in democracies want. They become more and more economically developed to do what? To learn more about spiritual culture or to
no.
do something else. They simply
Well,
want they simply want more sense gratification. So
yeah.
they simply want they want bigger house, they want a bigger car, they want maybe more power, they want more facilities and so on. That is all what they want. And this is where it is in contrast with Varnashram system. Can you now understand how Varnashram system is different with democratic societies?
Yes.
So in the ashram system, in the Varnashram system, the Varna is mainly about economic development according to one's propensity. That too according to one's propensity. But in the ashram system, what does the person learn? There is a higher purpose. There is a there is a higher thinking. There is a more higher purpose in my life, which is to attain transcendence, which is mainly to become more spiritually elevated. But that does not happen in the democratic societies. So this is what the result of abolishing a monarch. The Varnashram system is destroyed, and the Varnashram system is specifically the ashram part. When it is destroyed, then the people are not at all interested in spiritual progress. And when people are not inclined towards spiritual progress, then what happens? Simply chaos. Simply chaos. And Prabhupada is writing that people are unhappy in democratic societies. Largely, they are unhappy. And they are only to be blamed because they only choose their government. And the governments are only selfish people who are only interested in their own welfare ultimately at the end of the day. So, this is what uh, is being hinted by very powerful sages like Shamika Rishi in the past, and they are saying that the result there will be an unwanted population on the level of dogs and monkeys. So people who are taking birth in the democratic societies, who are simply governed by economic development and sense gratification, the progeny we are getting in these societies are only no better than dogs and monkeys, who are only interested in sense gratification, lust, and all that, all those qualities. So I hope this is clear. This is the reasoning is clear. Okay, now we go to 46th verse. I will request Rakesh Prabhuji, please read.
Heavy price for a small offense. The Emperor Parikshit is a pious king. He is a Mahabhagavat. He is a Rajrishi and has performed many hot sacrifices. When such a king is tired and fatigued, being stricken with hunger and thirst, he does not at all deserve to be cursed.
Yeah. So Parikshit was an ideal Kshatriya. He was a dharmic king. He was ruling the kingdom with all the codes of the Shastras. Not only dharmic king, he was a Mahabhagavat and he was a Raj Rishi. And many horse sacrifices like Ashwamedh Yagya. So performing Ashwamedh Yagya was not a small deal. You need to have a very qualified person to perform Ashwamedh Yagya. It requires a lot of wealth. It requires a lot of gold, as you have studied in the earlier chapters of Bhagavatam. So, if and what you have done, simply because of a small offense, you have given him that he will die within 7 days. You are simply a very heavy price for a very small offense. So that is something which Shamika Rishi is coaching his boy. Okay, 47th Prabhu.
Then the Rishi prayed to the all-pervading personality of Godhead to pardon his immature boy, who had no intelligence and who committed the great sin of cursing a person who was completely free from all sins, who was subordinate and who deserved to be protected.
Yeah. So ultimately, uh, Shamika Rishi understood that what my son Shringi has done is an offense towards a devotee, towards a Mahabhagavad devotee. And an offense towards a Mahabhagavad devotee cannot be pardoned. The only respite, only rescue my son has or opportunity he has is if I pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then maybe he only can be saved. So this is something which Shamik Rishi now understand, and he started to pray to the Supreme Lord that kindly pardon my immature boy, who had no intelligence, who had committed a great sin, to somebody who was free from all sins, and like that he has committed a great sin. Now the question here is, we understood in the previous classes, in the previous discussions, that all this is being orchestrated by the Supreme Lord mainly to bring what? Srimad Bhagavatam. So if Lord's plan was to bring Srimad Bhagavatam, then why blame Shringi? Why blame Shringi that he has done a great offense? So what is the answer? So the answer is the Lord
Maybe
arranged
it
it.
is a lesson for the Brahminical class.
Yeah, certainly there is a lesson for a Brahmanical class, but from the transcendental perspective, the point Srila Prabhupada is making in the purport and clarifying it is that Shringi was simply a instrument in the hands of the Lord. Shringi did a great offense, but at the same time, Shringi was a 5-year-old boy. So, because he was inexperienced, he was innocent in that sense that he was simply a boy, 5-year-old boy, his offense could be pardoned. His offense could be pardoned. So, like children commit mistakes and parents pardon their mistakes. But if a grown up commits a mistake, that is not pardonable. So, offense of Shringi was pardonable. Hmm. So, so this is what Prabhupada is saying is that it was all orchestrated by the Lord. So, because it was all orchestrated by the Lord, then nobody can be blamed here. Nobody can be blamed here. So, Shringi, although he committed an offense, he cannot be blamed. And because now Shamika Rishi offered a prayer to the Supreme Personality of Godhead that kindly pardon my child, so pardon can be granted to Shringi. So Shringi is kind of uh, not party to this problem because ultimately it was orchestrated by the Lord. So Shringi has to be uh, uh, come out as something which could be only considered as an instrument in the hands of the Lord. So this is one thing. Then another thing that we understood here was that Brahmanical class was the cause of the degradation of the whole Vedic culture in the in this event, in this pastime. So how do we understand that? How can a Brahmanical class become uh, the reason for this kind of downfall? So Prabhupada mentions that it is there mentioned in the Varha Puran that uh, all asuras, those were there in the past, will take birth in the Brahmanical families in the Kali Yuga to take benefit of uh, the Brahmanical culture and so on, so that they can get liberated. But ultimately, these kind of asuras, they did not chose to become liberated. Rather, they chose to act upon their past karmic reactions and so on, and degrade the society. So Shringi is representing one such kind of a Brahmana. So this is the kind of argument Prabhupada gives in his purport, that ultimately it was organized by the Lord, and since it was organized by the Lord, the role of Shringi is such that he was a 5-year-old boy, he could be pardoned, and Brahmanical class also is kind of excused, because it was the arrangement of the Lord, as we understand from Varaha Puran, that there will be some asuras, they will be taking birth in these Brahmanical families and will create that kind of a havoc. So kind of little technical, complicated, but I hope you had understood it. If not, maybe we can discuss later. For 48th verse, Prabhu, this verse we have remembered also in our shloka memorization class. So can you recite it together with me, or maybe you can recite it independently also, because now you are,
Yeah, I can recite it.
yeah, please go ahead.
तिरस्कृता विप्रलब्धाः शप्ता क्षिप्ता हता अपि नास्य तत्प्रतिकुर्वन्ति तद्भक्ताः प्रभवोऽपि.
Excellent, Prabhu. So now in the previous verse, what did we understood? We understood that Shamika Rishi prayed for Shringi. So the Supreme Lord granted pardon to Shringi because he was simply a 5-year-old boy. So Shringi is kind of uh, understood the behavior of Shringi. He is pardoned. Then Shamika Rishi himself was not involved, and he took responsibility of his these acts. So he's displaying the proper behavior of a Brahmana. So we can understand the uh, behavior of Shringi, behavior of Shamika Rishi also. Now, who is the third person left in the equation? That is Parikshit Maharaj. And Parikshit Maharaj is the pure devotee of the Lord. And pure devotee of the Lord do not counter react. This is what the verse is saying. Tiraskrata vipralabdaha shapta shipta hata api. Although the devotee of the Lord are defamed, they are cheated, they are cursed, they are disturbed, they are neglected, or even they are killed, then uh, they are so forbearing. Nasya tat pratikurvanti. They never are inclined to avenge themselves. Tad bhakta prabhavopihi. Although they are powerful enough, they could manage, or uh, they could also counter curse, they could also bless people. Like Brahmanas have the power to bless people, Brahmanas have the power to curse people. The pure devotee of the Lord also can bless people, they can also curse people, but they don't do it. They don't misutilize their power. Although they are powerful enough, they don't counteract. So this is something which is 48th verse, which explains the behavior of Parikshit Maharaj. So Parikshit Maharaj, being the pure devotee of the Lord, could have counter cursed Shringi, could have negated the effect of the curse that Shringi had given, but he did not do it. He took it as the something like an arrangement of the Lord, and he took it as an opportunity to get himself liberated from the situation and become go back to Godhead by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and all that. So this is again explaining the behavior of Parikshit Maharaj. So all behaviors are now explained. Shringi behavior, being a 5-year-old boy, uh, is not at fault. Shamik Rishi certainly is not at fault, and Parikshit Maharaj is also have not done anything of that nature that would bring him at fault. Rather, he accepted the situation as the arrangement of the Lord, and that he is also kind of not showing any kind of offensive behavior. So everything is something like all arrangement of the Lord, and all three of these, Shamika Rishi, Parikshit Maharaj, and Shringi, are like simply the Nimitt Matra Bhava Shabdashachi. They are simply the instruments in the hand of the Lord here in all this arrangement, in all this pastime. Please read 49th.
The sage thus regretted the sin committed by his own son. He did not take the insult paid by the king very seriously.
Hmm. So, the sage thus regretted the sin committed by his son and did not take the insult. So Shamik Rishi's behavior is something very ideal, like a Brahmana. So that I have explained you already. Now we go to the last one, which is the 50th verse.
Generally, the transcendentalists, even though engaged by others in the dualities of the material world, are not distressed, nor do they take pleasure in worldly things, for they are transcendentally engaged.
So here there are two among the three people, Shringi, Shamika, and Parikshit. Whom do you think are transcendentalists among the three, or can qualify for
Shringi and Parikshit.
Shringi and Parikshit, Prabhu, or
Shamika, Shamika
Yes,
and Parikshit.
Shamika and
sorry, Shamika and Parikshit.
Shamika and Parikshit, right?
Shamika and
Parik,
sorry,
Parik,
my apologies.
yeah. Parikshit is representing which yoga, which class of yoga? Parikshit Maharaj,
Bhakti.
Bhakti yoga. And Shamika Rishi is representing which class of yoga?
Ashtang.
Ashtang yoga, right? So both are transcendentalists. Since both are transcendentalists, they are not distressed about the uh, dualities of this world. Dualities of this world means insult, etc., etc. So neither Shamik Rishi is subjected to insult, or neither Parikshit Maharaj is subjected to insult. But so they are above. They are already transcendental. But Shringi, who did something offensive, who did something wrong, is simply a 5-year-old boy. So Lord is using this 5-year-old boy simply as a tool to fulfill his desire, to fulfill his will. So this is the explanation given by the acharyas here, that how everything was orchestrated in a way that Lord will fulfill his desire to bring Srimad Bhagavatam in this world. This is the explanation. So I hope this was useful. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any takeaways, any comments, any question we can discuss now. Thank you very much. Next class, Mangala Sharan by, please Prabhuji, can you help me? Mangala Sharan is by, I think you mentioned it to me.
Even Radha Prabhuji.
Jeevan Prabhuji, huh? Jeevan Prabhu. Okay. And summary is by.
Vrindavaneshwari Mataji.
Okay. So Vrindavaneshwari Mataji, you are delivering
Yes,
the summary,
yes,
and
yes.
Jeevan Prabhu will be delivering the Mangala Sharan. Okay. So was that clear? It was a little bit technical at the end. Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
बस मुझे ये थोड़ा सा और समझना है कि ये सारा सुनने के बाद लगा कि whosoever comes on earth in the form of human being, maybe it includes God also, they are imperfect beings. Everybody has committed mistakes, and everybody is likely to be imperfect. As we can see from Parikshit, we can see from Rishi, even that small boy, being in the human form, he got entangled, maybe through the arrangement of the Lord, but coming on earth means you are an incomplete person. You can only try to be good, but can never be perfect as long as you are on earth. This is how I look
Yeah.
at things. Of
Yeah.
course, there is a scope of improvement, but perfection is beyond people born on the earth.
Correct. That is correct, Prabhu. And the perfection means becoming the pure devotee of the Lord. That is the ultimate perfection.
Yes.
And it is possible to become a pure devotee of the Lord. So, saying that one cannot become perfect, that is also something which is not correct. Ultimately, like you see, there are degrees of perfection. So, if you see in terms of gunas, then sattva guna is the best. Then comes the maybe the rajoguna and then tamoguna. So you see people in this society, the whole world, in the material world, either they are mostly in tamoguna or rajoguna, or some few are situated mostly in sattva-guna. But even in sattva-guna also, you need to develop pure or shuddha sattva. That means you need to become the devotee of the Lord. So like you see, if people, even people in sattva-guna, can develop this feeling of pride that my good situation in life is mainly because of my own efforts.
Yes.
Ultimately, he also need to develop this humility that ultimately it is only because of the grace of the Lord I am having this kind of a situation. So this is the idea, and you are right. uh, Everybody, most of the people, most of the time in this material world is imperfect, and that is what we are trying, but they don't know how to become perfect. Generally they are trying to become perfect by simply doing some economic development, becoming more wealthy, more richer, and so on. That is the only thing they're trying to uh, drive towards themselves to become more perfect. But they don't know what actually means to become perfect. Actually becoming perfect means to becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. That is the height of perfection. That is the
Yeah.
epitome of perfection.
So we are born imperfect
Because of our own karma.
vasanas.
Yeah. So we have desires.
Yeah.
We have desires to enjoy separate from the Lord. So the Lord creates this material world, put us in this under the influence of
Situation.
material energy. We try to enjoy here. Every time we try to enjoy, we feel we are not satisfied. Every time we try to enjoy, we try to become big. We try to have a bigger house, bigger car, more power, more prestige, etc., etc. But every time we achieve something, we feel we are not satisfied. Why we are not satisfied? Because we are not trying in the right direction. If we understand that we are simply a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and our main purpose is here to serve the Supreme Lord, to act according to our constitutional position, which is servant of the Supreme Lord, then only we can become fully happy, we can become fully satisfied. And that is the whole process of Bhakti Yoga, where we try to train ourselves to become a genuine, surrendered devotee of the Lord. And then comes real happiness. Is that clear, Mataji? Is that make sense to us?
I really feel like, aren't we cheated because the administrative setup of the society is such that from the very beginning, one is not allowed to make any spiritual progress. And when one has grown to, say, up to my age or your age, now that we are really deprived of any spiritual culture. So, I really feel like, will this study of scriptures and will it really help us? Because it is more like sermoning, kind of. प्रवचन देना बहुत आसान होता है ना, लेकिन अभी जीवन में उस सब शिक्षाओं को कैसे उतारा जाए?
No, we need not wait for the administration to become devotional for that matter. If that becomes devotional, or it becomes devotionally inclined, spiritually inclined, that is very good. Like in the time of Parikshit Maharaj. But that does not mean that we don't have an opportunity to rectify the situation at our individual level.
Okay.
At our
So,
individual level, we can chant. We have the facility. We can perform all kind of devotional activities. We have the facility. Nobody is holding our hand. Once we have understood it, we can take shelter or some devotional association, devotee association, we can create that, or we can at least uh, strive to take some association like that
Yes.
within our region, within our. Now we have this online facility also. To some extent, it can also bridge some gap, maybe not completely, but to a
Definitely,
good extent. Hmm.
association definitely helps. It does bring some knowledge. It does bring understanding of things.
Hmm.
What my struggle is right now, how to
Hmm.
implement things. Like sometimes it's a really hard struggle.
Yeah, it is hard struggle. Implement things means you first of all address this at an individual level. Once you have been able to do it at an individual level, then you can do it a little bit at a collective level. Maybe you can start preaching to a group of people, like I'm trying to do in whatever humble position I am in. Maybe not trying to preach to maybe thousands of people, but at least few people. That is
Mm,
what I can do. That is what maybe my spiritual potential allows me to do.
mm,
So if you make that attempt, the Lord is pleased by your endeavor. हाँ,
okay.
भाई उसने
Okay.
जितना उसके बस का था उसने किया, और वो बेचारा क्या करता या क्या करती.
Yes.
so so the Lord is happy with the endeavor, bhavagrahi. Hmm.
Yes.
So if you are trying to strive to the best of your capability, the Lord will understand, and certainly you will make some progress.
Yeah.
That is
Thank
what
you.
I think. Yeah. Hmm. Yes. Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Jamala Mataji. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for the wonderful class today, Prabhuji. My question is in the 48th verse,
Mhm.
uh, it is given the qualities. The one of the quality of the devotees of the Lord is that they are very forbearing,
Mhm.
and this is a very high standard which is
High
quoted.
standard. Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do we cultivate this quality of forbearance at least to a smaller degree, Prabhuji? Can you give some indications how
Mataji,
we
only
bearing?
you are already doing it by performing devotional service. Remember pastimes of Dhruv Maharaj. Pastime of Dhruv Maharaj is very instructive. Actually, when I read that pastime, it gives me a lot of hope, because I am not at the level of verse number 48 that you see on the screen. If somebody defame me, cheat me, curse me, disturb me, neglect me, or try to kill me, I cannot tolerate it. I'm telling you very honestly. I don't have that kind of a uh, 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 developed spiritual advancement that I will be like Parikshit Maharaj. No, no, this is the arrangement of the Lord. I go and simply hear Bhagavatam. I will be disturbed. I will feel insulted, uh, and I will feel neglected. All those emotions will come in me. But I look at the pastime of Dhruv Maharaj. Dhruv Maharaj was also insulted. Do you remember the pastime?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So, so in that pastime, just remember, just try to recollect it. Dhruv Maharaj was insulted by his stepmother, Suruchi, and he became very angry. And out of that anger, his mother guided him, Suniti guided him, that don't feel angry. People who do bad actually get the bad karma and reaction of it. All that uh, teachings she gave to Dhruv Maharaj. But then she tells that if you want a kingdom bigger than your father's kingdom, then only one person can allow you. That is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So pray to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can give you that. So he guides Dhruv Maharaj to do some bhakti or to do some devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God. Dhruv Maharaj understands it, and he goes to the forest. In between, what happens? Can you remind me? In between, what happens?
Naradji meets him.
Naradji meets. So Naradji also explains him, "Hey, what is this, my dear boy? You are going to forest. You are actually going on to some project which is very very difficult and not suitable for your age. And let me try to let me try to understand. Let me try to explain it to you that all these kind of insult etc. one should tolerate, and it is simply because of Maya we feel insulted. Those people who are spiritually advanced are above all all those things. Now, can you remind me what response did Dhruv Maharaj gave? Can you remind me?
He right away refused
Hmm.
to follow what.
He says, my dear sir, you say what you are telling me that I ignore all this, but sir, I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I understand what you are saying is correct, but I don't have that capacity to forego that insult that I have experienced through the hands of my stepmother. So please, can you guide me? I want a kingdom bigger than my father's kingdom. Can you guide me how to achieve it? Then Narad Muni also don't feel offended. Narad Muni says, Narad Muni, I'm a pure devotee. I'm giving him some instruction. No, no. He's not listening to me. I'm not giving an instruction. I'm not, he does not feel offended. Narad Muni also. Narad Muni guides him that, okay, you do it like this. You perform this devotional service like this. And what happens then? Dhruv Maharaj does this. And then Lord gives him darshan. Lord gives him darshan. Then Dhruv Maharaj feels repentant. Say, for this darshan, actually I was looking for broken pieces of glasses, and what I got was some precious diamond, isn't it?
Yeah.
So idea is, Mataji, even if we are not motivated or not situated at this level of pure devotee, even if we are guided by material desires, we should not stop pure devotional service or bhakti of the Supreme Lord, because that is the only medicine that will drive away the material desires, propensities from our heart. So simply try your best, and that's all what we can do. That's all what we can do, and leave it to the Lord. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
So we have the medicine, and keep continuing taking that medicine, whatever it is. Don't leave it. The trouble or the worrisome situation will be when you stop taking that medicine thinking that I cannot get cured. That will be the difficult situation. But if you are taking that medicine, then Lord will make some arrangement in the future, and we don't know about it, but that is all what we can do right now. Okay, so thank you very much for your very nice questions and patiently hearing. So next class will not be there on this Sunday, neither the next to next Sunday, because this Sunday I will be traveling on business. Next to next Sunday I will be returning from business and attending the Vyas Puja ceremony of our spiritual master in Vrindavan.
Jai Jai.
So, so devotees who are living near Vrindavan and want to join this ceremony are most welcome. Devotees living far from Vrindavan are also welcome to join this ceremony. But I understand that living far from Vrindavan, people may not be really motivated to come. But invitation is always there if you want to join. But he's my spiritual master, so certainly I'm duty bound to attend. And it is possible for me to attend, so I should like to do it. I will be going there. So that is all.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Wednesday Hindi class, will it be conducted this
Will be
Wednesday?
there. Will be there, Mataji. That will be there. Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday is Ram Navami. So
Hmm.
if you don't mind, can we have some Ram Katha, Prabhuji? We
Okay.
can
We,
welcome the
we will. We
Lord.
will do it. We will do
Yes,
it. Okay.
so much.
Thank you for that request. That makes me now determined to do Ram Katha. Otherwise, I would have double-minded. Yeah. Okay.
On what day will it be?
Wednesday, Mataji, our regular Hindi class, 5 to 6.
No, I'll also try to attend Ram
Sure.
Katha.
Sure. Sure. Okay. I will post the invitation to the English group also. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Mataji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare
Hare
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.